With us to talk about the year's top stories, we have four journalists whom we polled to help determine our list. From New Mexico In Depth, the newbie on the news scene, Executive Director Trip Jennings is back. Also from Albuquerque Business First, Managing Editor Rachel Sams joins us once more. And from the Associated Press, we welcome back reporter Russell Contreras, otherwise known as a new father. And congratulations. And a face you know here, Gwyneth Dolan, correspondent on New Mexico in Focus and journalism professor at the University of New Mexico. It's been a year stuffed to the brim with news. We all collaborated on putting together what we thought were the biggest stories of the year in terms of impact, interest, and scope. We start with our number 10 story, the New Mexico Spaceport. Launched by former Governor Bill Richardson, the complex near Truth to Consequences has seen so-called vertical launches carrying payloads for government and private industry. But the sexy part, the launch of Richard Branson's White Knight craft, which will take well-heeled customers into the stratosphere, was delayed again this year, with a date set for 2014. Meanwhile, the spaceport has brought increasing national media attention to New Mexico and even planned a reality TV series. But some of the astronauts in waiting visited the site this fall and said the area needs to step up its game to meet the demands of wealthy tourists. Rachel, you reported on this in your publication, that particular bit there that the local area needs to step up its game. But my question is, after this year has now gone through, are we any closer in your mind to this situation being the absolute viable situation it was planned to be under Governor Richardson, or are we still a bit away at this point?
Some really interesting things have happened this year. We have seen progress. We've seen more testing of the rocket. We've seen more launches of payloads. So we're starting to see real things happening out there. I'm hearing people from other states asking more about it, hearing more about it, getting more curious. We're also getting more competition. There are spaceports around the country that are trying to get going, and a lot of them are moving quickly. So 2014 is really going to be a make or break year, I think, for the spaceport.
Point. Would you agree with that, Trip? This is the year to make it?
Yeah. Yes, I was just thinking about, this doesn't take place in isolation. I mean, Florida is looking at this, and they've already got some infrastructure down there in Florida because of the launches, NASA and stuff.
Texas, California, all over.
And there's concerns over the road from the entryway, hotels. If there's going to be a lot of tourism down there, where is this going to happen? This is a lot of things have to happen. They have to fit into place. It's not sequential. It all has to happen. And the question is, the context too.
It's full of hope and promise. But it's been full of hope and promise since the beginning. It reminds me of those slideshows you see of those abandoned, theme parks in Europe, all overgrown with vines, and there were theme parks of the future. I can just see this thing, in not that many years, all overgrown and dusty. It was the spaceport of the future. It just didn't happen.
That's right. One of the things the county had to pick up the nut for, a lot of things here. Taxpayers down there, there's the road is the last thing that's left here. Where, again, in your reporting, Rachel Sams at Albuquerque Business First, the road was a big hang-up for folks. Virgin Galactic went back to the state and said, we need more money. And now we're getting a little bit of pushback saying, well, you guys are a private entity here. How come you're not paying out of your own pocket? So where are we in this relationship between the state government and private industry on this one?
There's still a long way to go because it's not just the roads, it's the whole infrastructure.
That's right.
So if you're going to build a luxury hotel, you also have to plan for other things for tourists to do.
That's right.
Like we said, we don't want to abandon a theme park and say the launch will be the key and the big thing when you go visit there. But what else are you going to do? Is there a golf course? Is there places to go shopping? That's still not there. And I also think the anticipation and the hope has also allowed the school districts to think, oh, we're finally going to get some tax dollars we need.
I see.
And so people like Doña County is like, oh, this is going. Well, what happens if that doesn't come?
That's right.
These schools are already planning, they're already plotting to say, finally we're going to get some resources.
That's right.
That's still up in the air.
That's right.
The ideal place for a spaceport is the middle of nowhere. So, there's a built-in contradiction here.
That's right.
They don't want to put it someplace convenient. And how much time are tourists really going to spend in Las Cruces?
Right.
Well,
that begs a question, because again, in that reporting, anyone who has the stroke to pay $200,000 or more for a launch, you're not going to come with just yourself and your partner. You're coming with a whole gang of people. You're coming with all your friends, all your buddies, all your family, because you can afford to. What are these people going to do?
This is the question. If you build a luxury hotel, who else is going to stay there?
Right.
Las Cruces doesn't have that kind of tourism now.
Right.
And are these people going to stay in a Days Inn? A real nice Days Inn?
Right.
I don't know. Or are they going to rent a house? I mean, it's a very difficult thing to build infrastructure around.
Is this all going to be solved with that first launch when Richard Branson is standing on the launch pad, doing his final wave. Is all this going to be in the past once that happens?
No, because I've been in the news business long enough to know that sometimes the symbolic acts don't mean everything.
Gotcha.
And it takes a lot of hard work to build the infrastructure. What always interests me, though, is truth or consequences, right? You also have Elephant Butte. Already, truth or consequences has been written about by the New York Times. This little arts community. How does it benefit from this? Does you have more galleries come in? There are a couple of restaurants people already are talking about.
A lot of chicken and egg stuff here, isn't it? It's very interesting.
Lots, yeah.
Coming in at number 9 on our list was another story that garnered national media attention for the state, not necessarily welcome attention. Horse slaughter in Roswell. A businessman has been trying to open a horse slaughter facility, and the Navajo Nation government supported the plan, then reversed course in a deal brokered by Bill Richardson, who was joined by Robert Redford in efforts to stop legal horse slaughter. Now, after numerous legal battles, an appeals court lifted a stay last week, and slaughtering horses for meat could begin again. And Gwyneth, you did write about this for the Santa Fe Reporter, and a fantastically emotional issue. Fantastically. You cut through the facts are pretty easy to get through, but the emotional stuff is very, very difficult here.
It is. I mean, it's a fascinating story to me. People keep asking me if I'm sick of it because I've written about it a lot, but it's a story about the economy and the price of hay going up and how expensive it is to keep a horse. It's about fragile ecosystems and drought and overgrazing by horse populations that are out of control, especially on native lands. It's about horse breeding and a rise in breeding that has been happening behind, the scenes of what everybody sees. And we have this network of rescue organizations that are stretched absolutely to the max. Right. The problem is you have too many horses, whether people, and a lot of it is just human irresponsibility, right? But what do you do with them?
That's right.
They can't all fit in rescues. People aren't putting up enough money to take care of them. How different are they really from other livestock?
It depends, Trip. I guess that's a good question. It depends on your point of view. And if you're European, perhaps not much difference. If you're a horse owner here in New Mexico, perhaps a lot of difference. And how to balance all those needs in this thing is tough.
Gwyneth hit on all the highlights there, on a lot of the complexities here. And I think sometimes when I read some of these stories, I hear people coming from, there's this point of view that these are animals and you don't want to kill them and it's wrong and it's inhumane. And on the side, they're the business folks who are basically saying, look, we can do this, and there is this overage, this population overage.
Yeah. It's a disconnect between urban and rural, too.
That's a
City
really
people
good
have
point.
No concept
Urban and
of
rural.
what it's like to live, in the country and what it's like to have a responsibility.
This is not, when I lived in California, they had the same problem. Urban people moving up into the mountains, the Sierras, and not being used to some of the wildlife out there. I think it's a really good point. Urban,
Rachel,
rural.
it's a business story. And, the man has the right to try this. Now he has the legal right to do this. But again, the emotional side doesn't not quite square up with the factual of the matter. And I think I want to ask you about the national implications here. People do talk about that. Is it as big as some people say? Is it smaller, perhaps, than some people might think, just because we're close to it? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think this is really big. This is, the question of whether horse slaughter is going to be restarted in this country, and it's moving forward now. So I think that's it's a big hurdle for the folks who are trying to do horse slaughter to be able to move that forward. Because now on the opposition side, you can say, we're not doing it now, we need to preserve that. Once you move forward, it really changes the game. And the economic argument is one that the businessman down in Roswell has been making. We really need jobs in this area. I'm trying to give this many people jobs.
And it's a lie to say we're not doing this, because we are. We're shipping hundreds of thousands of horses over the border to Canada and Mexico to slaughter every year.
Right.
It's not that we aren't doing this, it's that we aren't owning it.
Right. We're not doing it here officially.
Robert Redford and Bill Richardson, did that change the story markedly, looking back on it in your view? That came, I think, was it late summer, about August, September, somewhere around there? In your opinion, did that significantly turn the story a little bit, or were we still the same place we were?
I think what it did is brought more national attention.
Okay.
I mean, it was a New Mexico issue. If you were interested in this issue, you read about it. But when those two came in, it sort of got people who were marginally interested. And my colleague, Jerry Clausen, who's been on this story all year, a couple of years now, whenever she writes a story, we get so much feedback. More than police shootings, more than the economy. We get all sorts of emails and blog posts. This is such an emotional issue for them. And what she does is look at it, say, look, here's the economic argument, and here's what the other side is saying. And what happens is it's almost like there's no reconciliation.
Right.
There's nothing that can be reconciled. Urban versus rural, business versus humanity.
Sure.
And I think when those two came forward, it reinforced this urban-rural divide. That is only going to increase. And even though the drama was played out in the courtroom, this issue is not going to go away. We're still, even when it's going to open, there'll be lawsuits, there'll be all sorts of things going on in Roswell, which is a community that's been very hit hard on a number of fronts.
Interestingly, polling shows about 70% of New Mexicans are not supportive of horse slaughter. I mean, it's a big, big, big number. The Governor Martinez came out early on in this. She was opposed. A lot of our congressional delegation, except Mr. Pierce, are opposed. You see what I mean? It gets very tricky once you start looking at that
And
level.
part of it is, I wonder, of those surveyed, the 70%, where do they live? Is this Albuquerque? Is it Santa Fe?
It's
Is
a
it Las
political
Cruces?
issue, you know? I mean, it's very politically advantageous to say that. It's hard to be Ben Shelley and to see 75,000 feral horses on your land that you have to spend $200,000 a year to deal with.
I want to come back
What are you supposed to do?
to respond to something that Gwyneth said, and I think this is true. I think, and owning up to this stuff. Human beings are part of the situation here. We help create this. I think there needs to be some real serious kind of like soul searching. I don't know, but human beings are part of this. They help create this situation.
In creative problem solving, Rachel, is that part? My feedback is we're not creatively looking at a solution here, that the default decision is slaughter. It's the easy decision. We don't know what to do. This is bigger than us as people. We'll just grind them up and send them overseas. I mean, there's got to be a more creative conversation, it seems to me, in this kind of a thing.
I think it is a hard issue for people to talk about, and Russ was kind of touching on it. The divide that people feel on this issue is so extreme that it's hard for people to even converse about solutions. I think there are probably a lot of solutions
And it's
that
going
could
to
be
cost money.
explored.
That's
Yeah.
the other part, too.
Yeah.
If you're going to do another solution,
Right.
someone's going to have to pay
If
for
you're
this.
the person who
You know.
can't afford a horse because you've lost your job or your part-time job, and it's $200 or $300 a month that makes the difference, these big ideas don't mean anything to you.
It doesn't, but
Nobody cares.
humane euthanasia for $150, and once that education starts getting out there, we can start seeing some other solutions besides killing things. So we'll see what happens. We're back in a flash with 8 and 7 as we count down the top stories of 2013.